Everyone speaks about the beauty of twin flames, the magnetic pull, the sense of familiarity, the feeling of finally being home. Yet beneath the surface lies a truth few dare to talk about. The twin flame journey, while divine, also has a dark side, one that shakes your foundation, tests your spirit, and exposes the parts of you that still need healing. This connection doesn't just mirror your light, it also mirrors your shadows. And though it often feels painful, it's through that pain that the soul awakens. The dark side isn't evil, it's the purifying fire that shapes you into your highest self. Before exploring these hidden aspects, it helps to remember what a twin flame truly is. Twin flames are two halves of the same soul, split and embodied in separate forms. When they meet, they recognize each other instantly, and their energies ignite a spiritual transformation. But this meeting isn't always calm or easy. It's often stormy because the purpose of this bond is not comfort, but growth. Let's uncover the parts of this connection that many avoid, the lessons that come wrapped in difficulty but lead to the deepest awakening. 1. The emotional intensity that feels too much to handle. One of the first things you notice when you meet your twin flame is the sheer emotional power of the connection. It's not a slow build. It hits you like a wave, sudden, consuming, and hard to explain. You feel drawn to them even when logic tells you not to be. Their energy lingers even when they're gone. Their words, their presence, their silence, everything seems amplified. But here's the part few prepare for. That same intensity that feels intoxicating in the beginning can later feel unbearable. Twin flames awaken everything inside you. Love, yes, but also fear, abandonment wounds, jealousy, and emotional dependency. You might find yourself acting out of character, crying without reason, or feeling physically exhausted from the connection itself. This emotional surge isn't meant to punish you. It's meant to show you the depth of your emotional body. Many of us move through life suppressing feelings, numbing pain, and avoiding vulnerability. The twin flame connection tears that numbness away. It forces you to feel again, every layer, every ache, every forgotten emotion. To navigate this, grounding becomes essential. You need to reconnect with your body and your daily life. Breathing deeply, meditating, walking in nature, writing your emotions down, these simple acts help you stay centered when the waves hit. The goal isn't to suppress the emotions, but to give them a safe place to flow through. The connection becomes easier when you stop trying to control its intensity and instead allow it to teach you emotional balance. 2. The runner-chaser cycle that breaks you. Almost every twin flame journey passes through the painful dance of separation. One running, one chasing. This isn't a punishment, though it feels like one. The runner usually pulls away when the emotional intensity becomes too much, while the chaser desperately tries to restore the connection, believing that love can fix it all. The pain of rejection in this phase is sharp because it's not just about losing the person. It feels like losing yourself. The silence between you can feel unbearable. You wonder how someone who seemed to share your soul could suddenly act like a stranger. But what most people don't realize is that this phase is divinely designed. The runner isn't truly running from you. They're running from themselves, from the parts of them that the connection forces into light. And the chaser isn't really chasing them. They're chasing the feeling of safety and wholeness that they once felt in that person. This cycle will continue until both souls start healing individually. The chaser must learn to turn inward, to find peace without needing the runner's presence. And the runner must learn to face their fear of vulnerability and confront their inner wounds. When you shift your focus from chasing to healing, the dynamic starts to change. The energy becomes balanced again. Separation then transforms from punishment to preparation. You begin to realize that distance is not the end. It's the space your souls need to evolve separately before they can align again. 3. The mirror effect that forces you to face yourself. Perhaps the most misunderstood part of the twin flame connection is the mirror effect. Your twin reflects your energy, not just your beauty and love, but also your insecurities, anger, and unresolved trauma. This mirroring can be unsettling. When you see your fears come alive through another person, it feels like they're hurting you. But in truth, they're showing you what needs healing within yourself. For example, If your twin abandons you, it may be reflecting your deep-seated fear of being left behind. If they trigger jealousy, it might reveal your own sense of inadequacy. If they withdraw emotionally, it could be pointing to your tendency to overextend or neglect your own needs for love. The twin flame mirror isn't meant to blame or shame you, it's meant to awaken you. Every reaction you have toward them is a doorway to self-understanding. It's important to approach these reflections with compassion. Instead of saying they hurt me, ask what part of me is reacting and why. This shift changes everything. It turns pain into awareness. This stage can be extremely uncomfortable because it strips away illusions. It teaches you to stop expecting your twin to fill your emptiness and to start filling it yourself. When you embrace this inner work, you start to transform. The connection becomes lighter. You stop projecting your pain onto your twin and instead use the connection as a mirror for growth. And though this part feels dark, it's where the real awakening happens. It's the point where love becomes less about needing someone and more about becoming whole within yourself. 4. The ego, death, and the fear of losing control. The twin flame journey demands surrender, and that's one of the hardest things for the ego to accept. The ego thrives on control. It wants certainty, timelines, and guarantees. But the twin flame connection follows none of that. It's unpredictable, emotional, and deeply spiritual. It moves according to divine timing, not human will. When you try to control it, by forcing communication, demanding answers, or obsessing over outcomes, you only end up exhausting yourself. The harder you try to hold on, the more it slips away. This surrender feels like death to the ego because it means admitting you can't make this happen through sheer willpower. You can't rush divine timing. You can't force someone to awaken. You can't manipulate love into alignment. What you can do is let go, not out of defeat, but out of trust. This surrender doesn't mean giving up on your twin. It means releasing attachment to how and when things unfold. It's trusting that what's meant for you cannot miss you, and what isn't meant for you will fall away no matter how hard you try to keep it. As you release control, a strange peace begins to replace the anxiety. You realize that you don't need to chase clarity, you become it. You don't need to demand love, you radiate it. This stage marks a profound turning point. When the ego softens, the soul takes over. That's when the journey stops being about chasing union and becomes about living from alignment. 5. The loneliness of awakening. Few people understand the depth of the twin flame connection, and that isolation can feel heavy. It's not just missing your twin, it's feeling spiritually alone, as if nobody else could possibly relate. But this loneliness is sacred. It draws you inward, teaching you to rely on your own energy instead of constant external connection. It's during these quiet times that your soul matures. You start listening more to intuition, nurturing your spirit, and finding peace within your own presence. You can ease the solitude by turning it into self-discovery. Create, meditate, move, or simply sit in silence. Learn to enjoy your own company. When you start feeling complete within yourself, the sense of loneliness fades. You realize that separation never truly existed, only the illusion of it. 6. Obsession and idealization. The divine nature of the connection can make it easy to idealize your twin, to see them as perfect, flawless, or as your only source of happiness. But this idealization can trap you in obsession. You might start checking for signs, overanalyzing their actions, or waiting endlessly for their return. When that happens, love becomes attachment, and attachment breeds pain. Your twin flame isn't meant to complete you, they're meant to awaken you. To free yourself from obsession, come back to the present moment. Focus on your personal path, your passions, your purpose. See your twin not as a savior, but as a mirror. When you shift from dependency to self-fulfillment, the energy between you clears. Love becomes lighter, freer, and healthier. 7. The dark night of the soul. At some point, you might experience what feels like a personal collapse. Your life, relationships, or beliefs may begin to shift dramatically. It's as though everything that once made sense suddenly falls apart. This is the dark night of the soul, the stage where old versions of you dissolve. It's painful, but it's also sacred. You're being stripped of illusions so you can step into authenticity. During this phase, you might feel lost or disconnected, but this emptiness is the space from which your truth will rise. Be patient with yourself. Rest when you need to. Allow the process to unfold without resistance. When the storm settles, you emerge clearer and more grounded. You stop seeking fulfillment from outside sources because you found it within. This rebirth marks the beginning of true inner union, the foundation for any future reunion with your twin. 8. The struggle between love and fear. As your awareness grows, so does your understanding of love. Yet fear still tries to pull you back. Fear makes you question the connection, doubt your worth, or overprotect yourself. Love, on the other hand, asks for openness, compassion, and faith. Every situation in this journey becomes a test. Will you react from fear or respond from love? Fear closes your heart. Love keeps it open, even when it hurts. This doesn't mean tolerating mistreatment. It means choosing understanding instead of resentment, calm instead of panic. Whenever fear surfaces, pause and breathe. Ask yourself, what would love do right now? Over time, this practice reshapes your energy. You begin to feel steady even when the connection feels uncertain. That's the real power. Emotional maturity rooted in love, not fear. 9. Spiritual lessons hidden in the challenges. Every obstacle in the twin flame path holds a lesson. Repeated patterns of silence, miscommunication, or distance are not random. They're reflections of what still needs balance. The universe keeps presenting situations until you respond differently, until you choose alignment over reaction. When you begin to see each challenge as an invitation to grow, pain loses its control over you. You start to respond with grace instead of desperation. That's when the journey shifts. You realize that the connection isn't meant to rescue you, it's meant to elevate you. Through these tests, you develop patience, forgiveness, and faith. You learn to trust in timing, in the unseen guidance that orchestrates everything. The more you grow, the lighter the connection becomes, because you're no longer feeding it with fear, you're nurturing it with love. 10. The purpose behind the darkness. After walking through all these phases, the pain, confusion, and emotional highs and lows, a profound truth begins to unfold. The dark side of twin flames was never about suffering for the sake of suffering. It was about transformation. Every challenge, every tear, every moment of uncertainty was sculpting you into your most authentic self. The darkness pushed you to heal your inner child, to rediscover your power, and to love without conditions. You begin to understand that union isn't something to chase. It's something that naturally arises when both souls are whole. The connection stops being a lesson in longing and becomes a reflection of divine love itself. Love that allows, accepts, and flows freely. Even if your twin isn't physically beside you, you feel their energy in peace rather than pain. You no longer crave their presence to feel complete because you found that completeness within. That's what the darkness was preparing you for, the realization that love doesn't come from another, it radiates from your soul. The dark side of twin flames is not a curse, it's a catalyst. It strips you down to your essence, exposing what still hurts so you can finally heal it. It teaches you strength through surrender, clarity through confusion, and love through loss. If you're in that darkness now, know this: it's temporary. The pain you feel is the fire of transformation. Each tear is washing away what no longer serves you. What seems like separation is often sacred redirection, leading you back to yourself. The journey is not just about finding your twin flame, it's about becoming the energy of unconditional love. When you reach that state, everything else aligns effortlessly. The connection becomes peaceful, not painful, expansive, not restrictive. The dark side, when embraced, becomes your greatest teacher. It reveals that real love isn't found in constant togetherness, but in spiritual freedom, the kind that loves deeply, lets go gracefully, and trusts the universe completely. So don't fear the darkness. Walk through it with faith, because on the other side, you'll discover that the very pain you resisted was the doorway to the light you were always seeking.